Big color, bigger savings. Sherwin-Williams Super Sale is here. Get 40% off paints and stains June 5th through the 11th with prices starting at $30.89. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
And away we go. Episode 1341 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Friday, June 5th, 2026. It is the 35th anniversary of one of the most iconic highlights in sports history. June 5th, 1991. The Chicago Bulls 107-86 blowout of the Los Angeles Lakers at Chicago Stadium in Game 2 of the 1991 NBA Finals, which the Bulls won in 5 games. The Bulls in this NBA Finals Game 2 shot a ridiculous 61.7% from the field, setting a record for team field goal percentage in an NBA Finals game. And among the many made shots by the Bulls was a certain shot by future Washington Wizards limited partner, president of basketball operations and player Michael Jordan. Yes, he was a limited partner and president of basketball operations for the Wizards and then a player. But back then, MJ played for the Bulls, and he in the fourth quarter of this game drove the lane intending to dunk. The Lakers' Sam Perkins came over to try to contest the shot, but Jordan switched the ball from his right hand to his left hand while in midair and gently flipped the ball off the glass and in for a made field goal. An all-time moment in the NBA. Here was the call on NBC from an all-time broadcasting duo. Man, I love these guys. Marv Albert and the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. Enjoy.
The look away to Livingston. Jordan.
Instead of taking the easy one, he tries to make it hard and still comes up. He's saying to the fans, I love
it. And the song right there, a popular song at sports games back then, Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter. And never mind what ended up happening with Gary Glitter. And if you don't know, whatever you do, do not Wikipedia Gary Glitter, okay? Because you'll never be able to hear that great song, Rock and Roll Part 2, in the same way again. But a spectacular play, one of many spectacular plays by the man who, to me, is the GOAT in NBA history, Michael Jordan, who, yes, was with our team, the Wizards, at one point. Does that not still seem like a dream? MJ with the Wizards. I mean, he was with the Wizards a long time ago. I get that. But still, that feels like a dream. His few-year stretch with the Wizards as first limited partner and president of basketball operations, and then as a player over 2 seasons, 2001, 2002, and 2002, 2003. By the way, among the many other stars in Game 2 of the 1991 NBA Finals, of course, was the Lakers' Magic Johnson, who, of course, now is a limited partner for the Washington Commanders. Hello and welcome to this Friday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Next segment, analysis of the Washington Commanders, as we'll examine quarterback Jayden Daniels and the state of Washington's skill position players off comments from offensive coordinator David Blough, head coach Dan Quinn, and receiver Terry McLaurin during this past Tuesday's OTA day that was open to the media. We'll get into how Daniels is doing in the offense, the thinking with the team having more under center snaps for Daniels, how Daniels could benefit from more play play action, the extent to which there is a need for our team to do more at receiver, the possibility of the team having multiple tight ends who have productive pass-catching seasons in the 2026 regular season, Quinn mentioning running back Jacory Croskey-Merritt as a possibility on kickoff returns, and more. We have a lot to discuss. And also on the show, I'll talk Baltimore Orioles. They now have won 9 of their last 13 games, an 8-2 win at the Boston Red Sox on Thursday afternoon to win the 3-game series. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. And if you on Apple Podcasts, give the podcast a 5-star rating. On the podcast, we'll read whatever you write in writing a review of the podcast. And what you write can be a sports take. You don't just have to write about the podcast. Email from Patrick Shipley on the front offices that we currently have in Washington, D.C. sports, writes Patrick. Hi, Al. Longtime listener, first-time emailer. From one Jesuit-educated brother to another, hail Gonzaga, beat prep. In all seriousness, all love to you. Your show is part of my daily commute into Gonzaga, where I now teach. I want to take a moment to say that for the first time in a long time, I believe we as DC sports fans can have hope and trust in our teams. The front offices feel competent and mature. It is hard when you have been in an abusive relationship to learn how to trust again, but after watching the Wizards, the Commanders, and maybe even the Nationals rebuild and reestablish their cultures over the last 2 to 3 years, it looks like we finally have adults in the room. Adam Peters isn't completely beyond critique, but he has worked hard to rebuild a roster that was depleted by years of missed first-round picks. What I can say is that it has been genuinely helpful to my own emotional recovery as a fan to not see all-in trades for top picks, reaches in the draft, or big money contracts handed out to Wash superstars. Albert Hainsworth, the RG3 trade, Donovan McNabb, the Trent Williams fiasco, Bradley Beal's contract, Jan Vesely, Otto Porter's max contract, and so on. We watched so much mismanagement across our teams over the last 2 decades that it really wiped out our entire fan bases. I think that's part of what makes the John Wall years so impressive in hindsight, and what made someone like Taylor Heinicke's success feel so meaningful. All of this is to say, washing the stain off these franchises is still going to be hard. Hearing Stephen A. Smith talk about the Wizards with such disdain, or watching people stumble awkwardly over the word Commanders, it will still be a long journey, but winning the lottery and reflecting on the past few years put a real ray of sunshine in my heart. Will Dawkins has done a fabulous job with asset management and nailing picks in the draft. It actually made me feel calm on draft lottery day because I could trust that even if we did land the number 5 overall pick, we would be okay. But landing number 1 makes me feel like maybe DC sports really are turning around. That maybe we can have a decade of sustained success built on mature management and consistency. My therapist tells me that consistency is good. Cheers to you, Al, for your hard work covering our teams. Here's hoping for a DC sports turnaround. Hail Patrick Shipley. Thank you very much for that email, Patrick. Great email. I will say this, and this may sound like a hot take, but I actually don't think that this is a hot take. I have never felt as good about the front offices of the big 4 teams of Washington, D.C. as I do right now. The Washington Commanders, the Washington Nationals, the Washington Wizards, and the Washington Capitals. I have never felt as good about the front offices of the big 4 teams of Washington, D.C. as I do right now. Now, a big part of me being able to say that is that the NFL team was owned by Dan Snyder for many, many years, right? May 1999 to July 2023. Another big part of me being able to say that is that DC didn't get the Nats until MLB's 2004-2005 offseason. DC had no MLB team for the 1972 through 2004 season. So the statement sounds a little grander than it actually is, but you tell me, when have you ever felt better about the front offices of the big 4 teams of DC as compared to right now? The Commanders with general manager Adam Peters and assistant general manager Lance Newmark. The Nats with president of baseball operations Paul Taboni and general manager Anirudh Kalambi. The Wizards with monumental basketball president Michael Winger and general manager Will Dawkins. The Caps with president of hockey operations Brian McClellan and senior vice president and general manager Chris Patrick. Of course, there are nits to pick. There always are. Of course, there's still a lot that we need to see from these regimes. But right now, at this point in time, I feel good about all four of these regimes. I like what each of the four regimes has done and is doing. I believe that there is reason for optimism with each of the four regimes. You tell me, in the time of there being a Big Four in DC sports, Redskins / Washington football team / Commanders, or as ESPN NFL draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr. said a few months ago, Commanders.
The Washington Commanders.
Yes, thank you, Mel. Commanders. But you tell me, in the time of there being a Big Four in DC sports, Redskins / Washington football team / Commanders, Nats, Wizards, Caps, when has there ever been reason to feel better about the front offices of the Big Four teams of DC as compared to right now? I have never felt as good about the front offices of the Big Four teams of DC as I do right now. Hey, if you would like to grow your business or practice, consider advertising on this podcast, which just recently was the number 56 podcast in the country on Apple Podcasts in the U.S. football category. Podcast advertising works and is very affordable. Put the power of the pod to work for you. Get your message out there to thousands of successful people in the Washington, D.C. area. We'd love to have you on board. Email us to see what we can do for you. The email address is thealgaldipodcast@yahoo.com. Look, choosing life insurance is tricky. Heck, life insurance as a topic can be uncomfortable, but Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. You'll get your lowest rate from Ethos' network of trusted carriers. And know this, Ethos has a rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 4,000 reviews. Take 10 minutes today to get covered with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Al Galdi. That's ethos.com/Al Galdi. Ethos.com/Al Galdi. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. So we now are done with the first 2 of 3 three-day sessions of OTAs for the Washington Commanders this offseason, May 27th through the 29th and June 2nd through the 4th. The team's final 3-day session of OTAs this offseason is next Tuesday through Thursday, June 9th through the 11th. Then comes the team conducting a 3-day mandatory minicamp from Tuesday, June 16th through Thursday, June 18th. And then comes the break until training camp. By the way, how about San Francisco 49ers head coach and former Washington Redskins offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan? Did you see what he did? Canceled the Niners' 3-day mandatory minicamp this offseason. This as a reward for his players' great attendance and work at OTAs. That news came out on Wednesday evening. You know, we have seen NFL head coaches cancel the final day of the 3-day mandatory minicamp as a reward to players. I can't remember an NFL head coach canceling an entire 3-day mandatory minicamp as a reward to players. We on the podcast over the last 2 shows have gone over key topics that were addressed during Tuesday's Washington OTA Day, which was open to the media. Head coach Dan Quinn and offensive coordinator David Blough each did a pre-practice press conference late Tuesday morning, and a bunch of players did post-practice press conferences on Tuesday afternoon. We on Wednesday's show, episode 1339, went in-depth on David Blough, including him revealing how he has designed his offense and him highlighting his offensive principles. We on Thursday's show, episode 1340, went in-depth on receiver Terry McLaurin, including the 2026 season potentially being his final season with Washington, his contract extension saga during the spring and summer of 2025, his injury-plagued 2025 regular season, him being moved around a lot in Blough's offense as opposed to lining up so often on the left side, as was the case with Cliff Kingsbury as Washington offensive coordinator, and whether McLaurin is a top 5 receiver in franchise history. So we have covered a lot of ground, and we now are going to discuss quarterback Jayden Daniels and the state of Washington's skill position players off comments from David Blough, Dan Quinn, and Terry McLaurin. We on Monday's show, episode 1337, had a good conversation with NFL analyst Ted Wynn of The Athletic on Washington's new offensive coordinator QB1 tandem and David Blough and Jayden Daniels. Ted is bullish on Daniels under Blough. Here was Blough on Tuesday morning on how Daniels is doing.
Good. He has done a lot of work over the course of the off season, just to try to implement the things that we've been imparting on him, and that's who he is. And we are excited about where he's at, and know there's so much more room for growth, and that's the fun challenge as the coach, getting to show him a different way to do things, and he has responded really well.
Yeah, every indication is that Jayden Daniels has been like a sponge with this new offense. By the way, Daniels had a GoPro camera on his helmet during Tuesday's OTA practice. The idea presumably being just to capture another vantage point from which he can learn. Good idea. Just 2 of Washington's 6 OTA days this offseason have been open to the media, but we during those 2 days have seen a good amount of under center work for Daniels. Dan Quinn and David Blough have made it no secret that the idea with the new offense is to have Daniels under center more. We'll see how much more, but certainly a lot more than these last 2 seasons with Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator. Washington for the 2025 regular season had an NFL low 17 under center dropbacks. That was it, 17. The next lowest total was the Kansas City Chiefs, 45. So Washington had less than half of the next lowest total. This was David Blough on Tuesday morning on how his offense can help Jayden Daniels evolve as a quarterback.
Yeah, I think, just trying to open his eyes, maybe under center, to some of the play action concepts and different things we want to stretch people horizontally and vertically. And, we're not creating essentially new concepts, just asking him to do different things. And I think at the end of the day, it's about us trying to put our best players in positions to be successful. And, we'll evaluate that throughout the spring and in the training camp to do that.
And we heard David Blough bring up play action. As we have discussed, under center play action is more effective than play action out of the shotgun and pistol formations. But it is worth noting that Washington last regular season did use play action a lot. Washington for the 2025 regular season had a play action rate of 30% per Pro Football Focus, well above the league average of 25.65%. And the 30% especially stands out when you consider how often our team was trailing in games. I mean, you're not using play action when down big because nobody's buying the play action. Well, as we know, our team last regular season was down big a lot, and yet still had that play action rate of 30%. So the team, contrary to what you may think, did use play action a good bit with Cliff Kingsbury, but under David Blough may well use play action more, and the play action hopefully will be even more effective. Play action, by the way, makes a team's passing offense more effective. Consider this from PFF on all pass attempts in the NFL last regular season. Those with no play action had a yards per pass attempt of 6.72. Those with play action had a yards per pass attempt of 7.76. 1.04 yards per pass attempt better with play action. Big difference, major benefit to using play action. Now, to what extent is being under center more an adjustment for Jayden Daniels, who has spent so much of his time as a quarterback in high school, college, and the NFL playing out of the shotgun and pistol formation? So this was David Blough on Tuesday morning on Daniels adjusting to the offense, including being under center more.
First of all, I think DJ Williams and Danny Etling have maximized their time with them this spring. But he put a lot of work in outside, whether it was a phone call here or a text there about naming of a concept or how something's supposed to be ran or, whatever, a cut-up that he wants to watch on his iPad. He studied a lot of guys that, this offense was built around as well, and his game fits into it. And so he's dove right in, and he's put a lot of the work in on his own. And now, he's kind of getting to see it come full circle here as, we hit the grass really for the first time and understand the intent behind every play.
And we heard David Blough mention DJ Williams and Danny Etling. Washington on February 10th announced having hired DJ Williams as quarterback's coach and announced having hired Danny Etling as assistant quarterback's coach. Of course, it was David Blough who was Washington's assistant quarterback's coach the last 2 seasons. So the team this past January 6th parted with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, and the team just 4 days later, January 10th, announced having promoted David Blough to offensive coordinator. We on Tuesday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider Liam Tim Griffin of the Washington Times and David Blough.
How has your relationship with Jayden changed now that you're in this new role?
I think, I have had a lot of time with him. I think the collaboration aspect is probably higher now than it was in the previous role. And at the end of the day, as he's an extension of our coaching staff taking care of the ball on the field, it has to be vital for he and I to be on the same page with what we're trying to execute.
And we right there heard the word collaboration, which was the word of the day on Tuesday. That word came up so much regarding the new offense, in which Jayden Daniels, by all accounts, is taking ownership. He is the QB1. He's entering his third NFL season, his age 26 season, the final season before he is contract extension eligible in the 2027 offseason. Here was David Blough on Tuesday morning on if he's seeing anything different from Jayden Daniels as Daniels enters his third NFL season.
Sure, I think as much as anything, it just the expectation we talk about with regard to ownership, like he's bought in completely, and it's the same work ethic. It's the same young man that you guys have grown to know and love, and it's been cool to ask him to do something different and watch him soak that in as well, because you guys have seen some of the excellent parts of his game, and our goal is for you to see other excellent parts of his game as well. So he has fully embraced that and gone for it.
And great to hear all of that. Now, what about the talent around Jayden Daniels? Has Washington done enough to support Daniels? The most notable player additions for the team this offseason have been on defense, not offense. Notable additions for Washington on offense this offseason include quarterback Ethan Kaliak-Manis, receivers Antonio Williams, De'Ami Brown, and Van Jefferson, tight ends Chigga and Anthony Firkser, running backs Rachaad White, Jerome Ford, and Katron Allen, and guard/center Matt Golban. Here are the top players for Washington at receiver, tight end, and running back right now. Receivers, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Williams, Treylon Burks, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, De'Ami Brown, Van Jefferson, and Jacoby Jones. Tight ends, Chigga, John Bates, Ben Sinnott, Colson Yankoff, Lawrence Cager, and Anthony Firkser. Running backs, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, Rachaad White, Jerome Ford, Jeremy McNichols, Katron Allen, and Robert Henry Jr., who is an undrafted free agent out of UTSA, the University of Texas at San Antonio. So you look at all of that. Is all of that enough for Jayden Daniels? Well, I would say this. If he plays like the Superman he was in his all-time great 2024 rookie season, then yes, that actually is enough for Jayden Daniels. But the idea with a QB1 should not be for him to have to be Superman, okay? The idea should be to help the guy out as best as the team can. We all know about the possibility of Washington acquiring Niners receiver Brandon Ayuk or signing unrestricted free agent receiver Stephon Diggs. Specific to receiver, I would like to see our general manager Adam Peters do more. The question is, should Ayuk be the more? But we on Tuesday morning had this exchange between Barry Zverluga of The Athletic and Dan Quinn on the receivers.
How would you look at that room as a whole? I think on the outside, there's just tons of discussion.
Yes. Well, the first thing I see is just a really competitive group. You see it. I think Lane is taking that step that you'd hope to see a player take from year one to year two of what it can be. I like the addition of Jefferson, of the things that he's bringing, and then De'Ami coming back here. There's maybe a quicker connection that takes place with somebody that you had familiarity with. I probably saw that maybe faster than I even expected in some of the spaces. So a lot to be worked out into the room. Certainly Antonio being a part of it, but inside to outside, he's played more inside on the first week. That'll be a little bit more over the next few days, how we'll adjust. So I think there's still roles and how we'd work that, and some experimenting for sure that needs to take place now and into camp as well.
Yeah, I mean, there with Washington's receiving core as currently constructed is potential, is promise, but just very little certainty. And it is very risky in the NFL when you have a position group that is based on potential and promise and has very little certainty, because the potential and the promise very rarely all work out in the positive way. Usually you at best get mixed results, and at times you get very poor results. I am especially hopeful with Antonio Williams. He, with his route running and toughness, does profile as someone who could make an immediate impact as a rookie. We on Tuesday morning had this exchange between John Keim and David Blough.
Just curious, too, on what you think about Antonio Williams and then maybe the receiver room in general.
Yeah, I've been really pleased with the entire receiver room. It's just, we talk about it like you're trying to build a basketball roster. You don't want all guys who can do the same things, and Antonio's been great stepping in, learning the system, and he's made some plays out here too, which has been exciting, and we feel really good with the pass catcher room and where we're at, and the getting Traylon back and Diami and some of the acquisitions that we made there, so feel really good about it.
All right, much more on Washington at receiver in moments, but if you have a case, contact Chris Nace. Contact the Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers, and mention that Al Galdi sent you. You could call 202-902-7611. You could also visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and submit for a free, no-obligation case review. The Nace Law Group, it features compassionate lawyers and zealous advocates for its clients. Led by the great Chris Nace and founded in 1979, the Nace Law Group is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. The Nace Law Group is outstanding. It will fight for you and your family. The Nace Law Group has recovered millions of dollars for the sick and injured. If you have a case, contact the Nace Law Group. We always hope that all is well with you, but if you have an issue, if you have concerns, contact the Nace Law Group. Call 202-902-7611 or visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers. There's also this with Washington receivers. Wes Welker, he this offseason has gone from being a personnel assistant who had been focusing on defense and special teams to being an offensive assistant. Wes Welker, of course, former NFL receiver, played for the Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, and Denver Broncos, among other teams. He was on the Pats during Adam Peters' time as a Pats executive. Welker was on the Broncos during Peters' time as a Broncos executive, and Welker was the Niners receivers coach for the 2019 through 2021 seasons when Peters was a Niners executive, and the 2020 and 2021 seasons were the first two NFL seasons for Brandon Ayuk, who was taken by the Niners with the number 25 overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft out of Arizona State, for which he played with Jayden Daniels in the 2019 season. We on Tuesday morning had this exchange with Dan Quinn.
You mentioned Wes a minute ago. Saw him working with receivers last week. Obviously, positioning played very well.
Yep.
How valuable is to have that guy in that room?
Yeah. It's been valuable, not just Wes, but with some other people on our entire staff. Having sometimes seen through the lens of the helmet, that's a different perspective. Also on Wes's background, he played with a couple of quarterbacks that did pretty well. And he's got a unique insight on what that could look like, with Tom, with Peyton, and the nuances that you want to get to as a receiver and a quarterback, the connection, the timing, the I'm going to call it idiosyncrasies, but he can get to the smallest details. So it's been really good to have him, fully with the offense this year. Like I said, if you were a receiver coming in here with Bobby and Wes and Andre, it would honestly be okay, I have come to get coached. And they just have a nice vibe off of one another.
And the Bobby and Andre to whom Dan Quinn referred are Bobby Ingram, who is Washington's receivers coach, and Andre Coleman, who Washington this offseason has promoted from offensive assistant to assistant receivers coach / returners coach. Wes Welker, as an NFL receiver, did play with two of the best quarterbacks ever in Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Wes Welker was not even drafted, entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent out of Texas Tech via signing with the San Diego Chargers in 2004. You never know with receivers, right? right? I mean, Washington's WR1, Terry McLaurin, was taken by the Redskins in the third round of the 2019 NFL Draft out of Ohio State. We, on Tuesday afternoon, had this exchange between Barry's Verluga and Terry McLaurin.
You mentioned the number of hungry guys in that room, room with you. I think on the outside, a lot of people are wondering, like, is there enough in that room? Is there enough to help you? What's your assessment of that?
It's the NFL. Somebody always steps up. I mean, since I've been in the league, all I've really experienced is the opportunity for a guy to step into a role that he may not have had or to make a name for himself. That's how I got my opportunity. You know, I mean, Jay Gruden believed in me as a third-round special teams guy to start me at X. David Blough was one of our assistant coaches, and you know, he's shown enough, and we have enough belief in him. He's our offensive coordinator. So it's the same way with these guys who they're in this room for a reason. We believe in their abilities. Now it's about them going out there and showing it. And I encourage them all, like, you got to treat that like that's your spot. Like, you're not trying to give it up. Every rep you get, you got to make the most of it. Control what you can control out there. You can't control when the ball comes to you, but you can control your routes. You can control knowing what you're doing on the football field. So we got a lot of young guys who haven't played a whole lot of football, but that's okay because this is the NFL, and if you want to stay in it, you're going to make plays, or they're going to find somebody who does. But the great thing about it, like, we have such an unselfish room. Like, I'm not a gatekeeper at all. I'm an open book, and those guys helping themselves helps me, helps the offense. It's all encompassing. So, you know, I could go down the list of all the guys we have in the room, but each guy that's stepping in this year, I could just tell that they put the work in, whether it's Luke, Jay Lane, Dayami, even having a guy like Van and Traylon, the guys who play a little bit of ball but can have the ability to step into a bigger role. That's huge because I lean on guys like that because they played a lot of football and they've seen a lot of coverage. So it's easy for me to bounce ideas off of them. But Antonio's doing a great job as well. And I'm just looking forward to see who's going to continue to step up. But I think the great thing about it, we have so many different playmakers, even the tight ends. You know what I mean? JB's improved as a pass catcher since he's been here. Chig, I've been extremely impressed by. You know, I kind of get thrown off sometimes with the dreads and the 85. I'm like, is that a young Vernon? You know, like, I'm not exaggerating. He has really good feet at the top of the route. He has great energy. I think he's going to be a great addition to our offense. And then the running back room, you know, it's similar to our room where maybe not a whole lot of necessarily proven guys, but a lot of guys who are hungry and fit different roles that can fit our offense.
And what Terry McLaurin said there about Okonkwo stands out from the standpoint of he is a legitimate, proven pass-catching weapon who has been added to the team this offseason. A lot of talk about the lack of a true WR2. Well, Adam Peters this offseason has gotten a new TE1. Here was David Blough on Tuesday morning on Okonkwo.
You know, in the, call it, 2.5 months or 3 months we've had Chig, it's been really exciting to kind of see him grow and buy all in, and we're really excited about that whole room in general. You know, like over the first couple days, they've made a lot of plays. Certainly Chig himself has too, and we're excited about just, the explosiveness that he adds to the offense. So as we go, I think, we'll definitely find what his role is in the unit.
And we heard David Blough say that the team is excited about its entire tight end group. The expectation is that Blough is going to go with a lot of multiple tight end sets. Off us in the Terry McLaurin cut, hearing him joke about Okonkwo looking like Vernon Davis. I do go back to the last time that our team had at least 2 tight ends be especially productive in one season. 2016. We since then have seen seasons in which one Washington tight end was especially productive. Think 2020 with Logan Thomas. Think 2024 with Zach Ertz. But you got to go back to the 2016 season for the last time that Washington had at least 2 tight ends be especially productive in one season. Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis. Jordan Reed in the 2016 regular season, 66 receptions for 686 yards and 6 touchdowns on 89 targets. Vernon Davis in the 2016 regular season, 44 receptions for 583 yards and 2 touchdowns on 59 targets. How possible is that kind of production from at least 2 tight ends for Washington in the 2026 regular season? Again, the group: Okonkwo, John Bates, Ben Sinnott, Colson Yankoff, Lawrence Cager, and Anthony Firkser. You would think that Okonkwo and Sinnott would be the top two candidates to do as Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis did in that 2016 regular season. But who knows? And of course, Ben Sinnott so far in the NFL has not done much. Now, an NFL team getting significant pass catching production from multiple tight ends isn't exactly common. I get that, but our team did do this a decade ago. Would be nice to see that again. And then with the running backs. So something that caught my attention was what Dan Quinn said about Jacory Croskey-Merritt, who has not fully participated in either OTA day open to the media this offseason. Croskey-Merritt presumably is dealing with an ailment of some kind, but NFL teams are not required to put out injury reports for OTAs, nor are teams required to report who does and does not show up for OTAs. But we on Tuesday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
The last time we were out here, Bill wasn't participating. How is he doing, and what do you need to see from him to take the next step?
Yeah, I think number one, new system again. So as he's heading in from year 1 to 2, what do you want to see differently? We've certainly made in the passing game, one of the steps would be for Bill in that space. Nicky's also working on the kick return side of things. So those would be a few that come to mind. The natural running instincts, whether it's running from the gun or from under center, that kind of handles itself. But certainly in the passing game and on the return side are two things we're wanting to see elevated over the next, the rest of this and even into the camp as well.
So Dan Quinn saying that he wants to see improvement from Jacory Croskey-Merritt in the passing game, and that would mean as both a pass catcher and pass protector. No surprise that Quinn wants to see improvement from Croskey-Merritt in those two areas, but Quinn also mentioned Croskey-Merritt as an option on kickoff returns. Jacory Croskey-Merritt last regular season did not have any kickoff returns. So Washington's primary kickoff returners last regular season were receivers Deebo Samuel Sr. and Luke McCaffrey, and those guys did really well on kickoff returns. But it was in the 2024 regular season that Washington used a key running back in Austin Eckler as the team's primary kickoff returner. So maybe we do see that with Jacory Croskey-Merritt this coming regular season. But understand that Luke McCaffrey for the 2025 regular season was number 3 out of 31 qualified players in the NFL for Pro Football Reference in yards per kickoff return, 29.6. So McCaffrey, to me, should be the team's number 1 kickoff returner for this coming regular season. Jalen Lane for the 2025 regular season was number 5 out of 16 qualified players in the NFL per Pro Football Reference in yards per punt return, 13.7. Washington would seem to be set at kickoff returner with McCaffrey and punt returner with Lane. But, of course, you could always use depth. Each guy is coming off a season-ending injury. McCaffrey suffered a broken collarbone on his game-opening 19-yard kickoff return in the 38-14 loss to the Seattle Seahawks at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football last November 2nd. Lane suffered an ankle injury in the 29-18 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium last December 20th. Regarding Washington's running back group, we on Tuesday morning had this exchange between ABC 7 sports director Scott Abraham and David Blough.
With the running back room, a lot of new faces. Anyone stood out to you? Anyone kind of moved the needle a little bit for you?
We're really excited about where the room is at now. Was really pleased with the draft to get Katron and Rob in the building and just kind of continue to add to the room. Rashad has so much natural and pass catching ability and experience when we just added to the room, and then getting guys back that we know. And Jerome has been excellent too. So we're really pleased with the running back room so far, and Coach Lynn and Coach Madden have done a great job.
And Coach Lynn and Coach Madden are Anthony Lynn, who Washington this offseason has demoted from run game coordinator / running backs coach to just running backs coach, and Jesse Madden, who Washington this offseason has promoted from offensive quality control coach to assistant running backs coach. One more thing. A good friend of this podcast, Warren Sharp of Sharp Football Analysis, he late Thursday morning posted the following on X, quote, Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin were healthy enough last season to play just 5 days together. They didn't play a single full game together after September 11th. Sunday, September 7th through Thursday, September 11th, end quote. I read that on Thursday, and I wasn't shocked by that. I felt like I had already read and or heard that at some point, but I said to myself, wow, that really is something, you know? Like, again, I wasn't shocked by reading that. I think we all kind of know that, but it hits you in a different way, I feel like, when you see it crystallized like that. Like, we all know that Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin last regular season missed a ton of time. I mean, factually speaking, Daniels played in just 7 of Washington's 17 games. McLaurin played in just 10 of Washington's 17 games. But the reality, slaps you across the face when you read that Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin were healthy enough last season to play just 5 days together in terms of the regular season. Sunday, September 7th through Thursday, September 11th. That is something. Let us hope that never again is there a Washington season that features that kind of horrendous injury luck. Look, choosing life insurance is tricky. Heck, life insurance as a topic can be uncomfortable, but Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. You'll get your lowest rate from Ethos' network of trusted carriers. And know this, Ethos has a rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 4,000 reviews. Take 10 minutes today to get covered with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Al Galdi. That's ethos.com/Al Galdi. Ethos.com/Al Galdi. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. For all of the Baltimore Orioles' problems in MLB's 2026 regular season, and there have been many problems, the O's have been good offensively. They, as of games through Wednesday, were number 11 out of 30 MLB teams in team OPS plus at 103. OPS plus is OPS that is adjusted for a team's home ballpark and league. 100 is average, above 100 is good, below 100 is bad. The O's at 103 ranked number 11 out of 30 MLB teams. The Washington Nationals, by the way, we're number 5 at 109. But yeah, the Orioles offense, even with all of the injuries, has done well. And the offense on Thursday afternoon had a terrific game, an 8-2 win at the Boston Red Sox on Thursday afternoon to win the 3-game series. So the O's now are 30-33, just 11-18 on the road versus 19-15 at home. But the O's won 2 out of 3 games at the Red Sox, who have been awful at home, just 10-21 at home versus 16-14 on the road. The Red Sox are last in the American League East at 26-35. Yeah, this series was a battle of an Orioles team that had been really bad on the road versus a Red Sox team that had been really bad at home. Something had to give, and that which gave was Boston. The O's won the series 2-1, and the O's now have won 9 of their last 13 games. So the O's in this 8-2 win at the Red Sox on Thursday afternoon, 8 runs, 10 hits, which were 3 doubles and 7 singles, 6 walks, 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The O's got to the Red Sox starting pitcher Brayan Bello, who allowed 8 runs in 5 innings. Second time in a month and a half that the O's ripped this guy. The O's in their 10-3 win over the Red Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on April 24th got to Bello, who in that game allowed 8 runs in 3 and a third innings. A monster first inning for the O's on Thursday afternoon. They in the top of the first scored 6 runs on 2 doubles, 3 singles, 3 walks, and a hit by pitch. 2 Orioles players each had at least 2 hits, Taylor Ward and Pete Alonso. Taylor Ward, he is the Orioles starting left fielder and number 1 batter, went 3 for 5 with a double, an RBI single, and another single. The double came on the first pitch of the game. I, on Thursday's show, episode 1340, mentioned this about Ward, but he is having a good season despite hitting for no power. Ward for this regular season now has an OPS of 761. That's good, but that is comprised of a 404 on base percentage and a 357 slugging percentage. Usually the slugging is higher than the on base. In this case, the on base is significantly higher than the slugging. Now, he does have a lot of doubles, a team best 16 doubles, but just 2 home runs. Pete Alonso, he is the Orioles starting first baseman and number 4 batter, went went 2 for 4 with 2 singles and a walk. Alonso for this regular season now has an OPS of 771. Kobe Mayo, he is the Orioles starting third baseman and number 8 batter, went 1 for 4 with a 3-run double, which came off Brian Bayo, who's a righty. Good to see that. Mayo has struggled big time against right-handed pitching. Kobe Mayo in this regular season, OPS of just 468 against right-handed pitching, but an OPS of 1,032 against left-handed pitching. And Samuel Basallo, he is the Orioles starting catcher and number 5 batter, went 1 for 4 with an RBI double and a walk. Basallo for this regular season now has an OPS of 842, including a slugging percentage of an even 500. A lot to like with the Orioles offense in this game, but perhaps the most encouraging aspect of this 8-2 win at the Red Sox on Thursday afternoon was the Orioles starting pitcher in this game, Trevor Rogers. He finally had a good outing again. We had been waiting on this, and finally this happened. Rogers broke a streak of 7 consecutive bad outings. He allowed 1 run in 5 2/3 innings. There you go. That's a good outing. He was not dominant, but he had a good outing. 1 run in 5 2/3 innings. That absolutely qualifies as a good outing. He gave up 5 hits, which were a double and 4 singles. He had 3 strikeouts versus 1 walk. Threw a lot of strikes, 87 pitches, 66 strikes versus just 21 balls. So the 1 run that Rogers allowed came on his final pitch of the game. He, in the bottom of the 6th, allowed a run on 3 consecutive 2-out singles, including a 2-out RBI single by Wilson Contreras to left field on a 1-2 pitch to cut the Orioles' lead to 8-1. Trevor Rogers, off being so good over the final 3.5 months of last regular season and over his first 3 outings in this regular season, had been reeling. He, over his previous 8 games, all starts, had allowed 33 earned runs in 29 2/3 innings. And Trevor Rogers now, in his MLB regular season career, over 4 games, all starts at Fenway Park, has allowed just 4 runs in 25 innings. Here was Trevor Rogers' post-game session with reporters on Thursday afternoon. You'll hear exchanges between O's insider Rich Dubroff of BaltimoreBaseball.com and Rogers, O's insider Jacob Calvin-Meyer of the Baltimore Sun and Rogers, and O's insider Andy Koska of the Baltimore Banner and Rogers.
How much fun was it taking the mound with a 6-run lead?
Yeah, it was really fun. Those first couple warm-up pitches, I had to let him eat a couple just to get warmed up as quickly as I could. But this win was offense, man. They jumped on it right away, and 1 through 9 they were hot, so they made my job pretty easy today.
What is it about pitching at Fenway Park that you like so much?
I was thinking that after the outing. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just the site, it just seems really good for me. They seem really close for whatever reason. I just love pitching here, and it's worked out. And at the end of the day, I'm just glad I got the boys a W.
Is there a momentum aspect to this rotation? What everyone in this group kind of has been able to do the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, we just kind of just put our heads down after we weren't pitching the way we wanted to pitch there earlier, and we knew it was only a matter of time that it was going to turn around for this group, and it's the most talented group I've ever been a part of. And I know that once we were able to start doing our jobs consistently and we were giving our offense a chance to win, and I think we're 8-4 in our last 11, and that's just going to continue. We've just been putting in the work, and we're finally seeing the results of it.
The past 2 months haven't gone the way that you would have exactly wanted. Do you feel like you've turned a corner, though? Do you feel like the start today, with the way that your fastball was playing, the way that your off-speed was kind of playing off your fastball, do you feel like you've turned a corner?
I think so. I think I've found, the pace in my delivery that's consistent. And I kind of caught myself trying to speed up too much. So really just, I wouldn't say going down an extra gear, but, really just focus on a big deep breath between each pitch and making sure my pace throughout my delivery is consistent throughout the game. I think I found myself, if it's in a tough spot, just, quickening up my delivery, and that affects my command. So if I know that my tempo and my pace is in a good spot, then that translates down the mound.
Notice that, the tempo and pace aspect of it.
I got to 2-0, but it was either Abreu or Narvaez, and it was 1-0. I let a fastball, kind of let it go a little bit, and it was a bad miss. Got to 2-0. That's where I'm like, okay, I could feel myself getting faster, and I told myself slow down. That's why I executed the 2-0 sinker double play. that's kind of when it clicked.
When you go out there with that 6-0 lead before you ever throw a pitch, does that change anything for how you approach or change anything mentally for you?
I think in the past I learned the hard way. If I try to pitch like it's a 6-run lead, I don't pitch the way I need to. If I pitch like it's a 0-0 ball game, it goes a lot better than if I'm pitching with a 6-0 lead. So that was my mentality out there all day. Pitch with a 0-0 lead, and my defense really helped me out today.
Yeah, the Orioles starting pitching, which had been horrendous, lately has been better. You look at Trevor Rogers over the entirety of this regular season now, 11 games, all starts, ERA of 6.29, whip of 1.51. And the Orioles relief pitching in this 8-2 win at the Red Sox on Thursday afternoon was good. 4 Orioles relievers combined to allow 1 run in 3 and a third innings. Yanier Cano faced 1 batter and got 1 out. Tyler Wells tossed a perfect bottom of the 7th. Keegan Aiken tossed a scoreless bottom of the 8th. And Andrew Kittredge allowed 1 run in 1 inning. He in the bottom of the 9th gave up a leadoff homer by Wilson Contreras over the Green Monster in left field to cut the Orioles' lead to 8-2. But still, a dominant win for the O's. Here was O's manager Craig Albernaz's post-game session with reporters on Thursday afternoon.
Early inning struggles this year. How much fun was it to get 6 runs right off the bat?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great job by our offense coming out ready from pitch 1. Obviously, Wardy setting the tone, and it was a great job grinding out bats, getting good pitches to hit, running the bases aggressively, and to give any starter, but Raj, a 6-run cushion before he even steps on the mound. Really good.
You've seen, hints that Rogers was getting back to his best. Was this kind of all the way back that what you wanted to see from him?
Yeah, today was outstanding. He was throwing a ton of strikes, like we talked about before the game, with his fastballs of 2 shapes, establishing in, which he did, and did a great job of getting, the bigger breaking ball, the sweeper involved, changeup as well, and mixing in the shorter cutter as well. He was really efficient. Defense did a great job behind him, and it was fun to see Raj go out there and have the outing he did.
I think you said at some point during the homestand, Ward did a similar thing. It's got a hit on the first pitch of the game, how patient he is. Is it a real thing that can kind of juice up the lineup a little bit, get the guys going when Ward goes out there and just hits the first pitch of the game like that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty of baseball. When you play 162, like the ultimate chess match, right? Everyone knows how patient Ward is. Like, there's no hiding in this game. Red Sox have all the information just like everybody else. And, when Ward is aggressive and he picks and chooses spots and he barrels one up, especially for extra bases, it sets the tone and gets the guys going in the dugout.
All right. Next up for the O's is a 3-game series at the Toronto Blue Jays. The O's have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 1, Friday night at 7:07, Brandon Young. Game 2, Saturday afternoon at 3:07, Kyle Bradish. Game 3, Sunday afternoon at 1:37, Shane Baz. And this series at the Blue Jays starts quite the stretch for the O's. 16 consecutive games against teams that made the 2025 MLB playoffs. So the Toronto Blue Jays, the Seattle Mariners, the San Diego Padres, the Mariners again, and then the Los Angeles Dodgers. Quite the stretch for the O's. This stretch could make or break their season. And that'll do it for you and me for now, but there's more to come. Monday's show, episode 1342. We'll have a lot for you on the Washington Commanders. Also on Monday's show, I'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles. The Nats this weekend have a 3-game series at the Arizona Diamondbacks. The O's this weekend have a 3-game series at the Toronto Blue Jays. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
The Washington Commanders